For decades, Lisa Bonet has existed as a figure of quiet mystery, someone who seemed to hover just outside the machinery of Hollywood while subtly shaping it from within, and after her separation from Jason Momoa, that essence did not shatter or erupt, but instead deepened in a way that unsettled people more than anyone expected, because this was never the story of a woman unraveling. It was the story of a woman finally shedding a life that no longer fit. Born in San Francisco and raised in Los Angeles, Lisa grew up feeling displaced in an affluent, predominantly white neighborhood, and after her parents' divorce, that sense of solitude became foundational to how she understood herself and the world. Acting entered her life almost accidentally through a friend, but it immediately felt like a place where difference was not a liability, and that discovery led her, still a teenager, to The Cosby Show, where at just 16 she became Denise Huxtable, part of one of the most influential black families ever portrayed on television. As the show dominated American culture, Lisa grew up in public, turning Denise into a fashion icon and symbol of youthful confidence. Yet even at the height of success, she never appeared comfortable with fame or eager to become a product of it, a resistance producers sensed early on. By the time she reached adulthood, the tension between who she was and who the public wanted her to be became impossible to ignore, and that awareness led to her most controversial decision, accepting a role in Angel Heart, a dark, explicit film that directly contradicted her wholesome television image. The backlash was swift and unforgiving, with headlines focusing less on her performance and more on her perceived betrayal, but Lisa never apologized, explaining instead that her responsibility was to her growth and her craft, not to preserving a fictional symbol, a stance that marked her as unpredictable in an industry that prized compliance, especially from young women. That unpredictability followed her into a different world, The Cosby Show spin-off built around her character, where mounting pressure collided with her real-life pregnancy, and when the show refused to allow the character to evolve alongside the woman portraying her, Lisa chose to step away, finding herself judged not only for her artistic choices but for her body, her motherhood, and her refusal to conform. Motherhood became a full reorientation rather than a subplot, and after her daughter Zoe was born, Lisa deliberately slowed her career, not out of failure but intention, retreating with her child to Topanga Canyon and later legally changing her name to Lila Koi Moon as a way of honoring her private self over her public image. Her marriage to Lenny Kravitz, though deeply loving, unfolded under intense scrutiny and ended in emotional exhaustion. Yet even then she chose stability over spectacle, focusing on yoga, introspection, and living differently, rejecting the idea that worth required constant visibility. Hollywood interpreted her absence as disappearance, but when she returned to acting years later, she did so quietly and on her own terms, carrying a depth shaped by withdrawal rather than ambition. It was during this grounded phase that she met Jason Momoa, long before his rise to global stardom, and their relationship grew privately, built on emotional safety, shared values, and a blended family that many outsiders idealized, with Lisa finally appearing to have found a balance between love and autonomy. But as Momoa's career accelerated and demanded constant motion, the stillness Lisa had spent decades cultivating began to clash with his momentum, and their eventual separation was not born of scandal or conflict but of divergence, a realization they lived through privately long before making it public. After the separation, Lisa did not embark on a reinvention tour or offer explanations. Instead, she stepped back even further, living deliberately, reducing public appearances, and choosing routine over reaction, unsettling a culture that expects visible healing and dramatic transformation. What drew attention was not what she was doing but how she looked while doing very little, unchanged, uncorrected, and unapologetic, reflecting a philosophy rooted in care rather than control, maintenance rather than anti-aging, a mindset she passed on to her children as well. In refusing to perform her evolution, Lisa Bonet challenged Hollywood's narratives about women, aging, relevance, and power, revealing that what many call disappearance is often completion. Her separation from Jason Momoa did not create her transformation, it simply revealed it, stripping away the last structure that required her to compromise with a pace she no longer wanted, and in doing so, she did not reject love or fame in anger, she outgrew them, becoming unreachable to narratives that needed her to be something else, offering not drama to consume, but a mirror to consider.